Hey folks, what's going on? Welcome to Coach Gav Live, episode 47 with me, your host, Coach Gav from Kildare Strength and Fitness. So, we spoke a little bit about this the other day in episode, I think 42 or 43, when we spoke about setting our goals, that it's so important to know where you're starting from and also where you're trying to go to. Because without those two key pieces of information, it's going to be very hard to create a plan that will actually get you anywhere. Yes, you can, of course, create a plan. People's ability or inability to create plans is very rarely the reason why they fail. But sometimes we create plans that A, don't work, and B, when they do work, they don't bring us where we're trying to go. So from that point of view, that's why it's so important to be honest. And that's honest with yourself about what you actually want and where you're trying to go, with things. So over again, like I said, I'm going to harp on about it until everyone kind of starts eventually kind of copping on that this is going to work. One of the keys as to why using things in a 12-week block has worked for me this year so far is because I'm refreshingly honest, ruthlessly honest with where I am across all areas that I'm trying to keep track with my health, with my fitness, with my strength, how the business is doing, how the service side of the business is, my relationships with my daughter and her mother and the people in my life, my family, my own mom, my brothers and sisters, all these different things. So any area that I'm trying to improve upon, I'm honest about where we are with things, because there's no point in sugarcoating it, because you give yourself a false sense of how things actually are. And when we operate from that position of inaccuracy, I suppose is the best way. When we operate from that position, it's very, very hard to create and build and follow a plan that will bring us actual results that we want. Because I think the only thing worse than working for something and not getting any result is working for something and getting the wrong result or getting a result you don't want. Because then it's one thing to kind of be like, okay, well, I spent all my time and energy doing these things, but Trisha, what's going on? How's things? It's one thing working towards a plan and not getting a result, but to go and do it and get a result you don't want, that's a real kick in the gut, because at least then it's such a waste of time and effort and resources to do these things and get a result that's of no interest. Of no benefit, I should say. So that will be the first piece of advice I give to you today, is that, really be super, super honest. Don't bullshit yourself. I get lied to on a daily basis by my members. I know that, and they know that I know that. But that's just a transitional thing. Eventually, as we build more trust and more honesty, they do feel more comfortable with saying, okay, well, here's what I eat, here's how I live, here's what I do. And I don't really mind it too much. I understand it because I was in that position before, and in some cases I still am. But the one thing that I do is that it worries me from a progression point of view, from getting results, from making progress, is that if we're not looking at things exactly as they are, black and white, 100% honest, it's going to be very hard to see progress. Like, I know exactly where I stand. Well, health-wise, I know exactly where I'm starting from going into my next 12-week cycle. And by the end of today or tomorrow, I'll know exactly where I am with, say, my time management, my study, my finances, business growth, and projections for the future. And when you're able to do that, or when you go and do that, because everyone's able to do that, this isn't some special skill that I have that you don't have and you can never have. It's just sitting down and stop believing your bullshit. And that's a skill that any of us can have. That's not something new. That's not unique to me, okay? So the other thing I want to talk about is it's a lesson I've been teaching Freya. So Freya is my daughter, for those of you new to the page and the channel. And at the moment, Freya is quite aware of death. As in death as in dying, not death as in the financial situation. And she's quite concerned about people dying in her life. And it's quite tough to try and explain to a near 6-year-old that death is going to happen to us all. But that's the reality of it. We are born, we live our lives, and then we all die. Some of us have long lives, some of us have short lives. Some of us have very fulfilling lives, some of us don't. Some of us live to our full potential, some of us don't. And we can't change that. We can't change that we're going to die. So therefore, as upsetting as it is, and as unenjoyable as it is to think about it, there's no real benefit to it. Again, we've spoken before about kind of the rocking chair versus the wheelie chair. A rocking chair will allow you to spend all your time and energy, but you won't go anywhere. You'll just rock back and forward onto one spot. You know, a wheelie chair, however, you can move from position to position as you go along. And that's one thing that I definitely, as I was explaining to Freya, that, you know, it's silly to worry about things that we can't change or we can't control. It reminded me of a long period of my time, mainly the bulk of my 20s, and when I worried about things that I couldn't control, or more importantly, things that I couldn't change. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big believer in that, you know, whatever, you know, that there's lots of things in life are changeable. Things can change, and you can never really say never. But sometimes things genuinely 100% are out of our control, and we can't impact that, we can't change that. Like Donald Trump. I can't control or change if he's going to go and bomb half the world. But by the same token, I can't go and worry about that until it happens. I can't go and change the fact that, yes, eventually I will die. You know, as will all of us. But I can change how much time and energy I spend worrying about, oh my God, what's going to happen when I die? What's going to happen when this person dies? And just make the most of it. So this isn't about not worrying about death. This is to not worry about things you can't change. And okay, and like, I mean, other people's thoughts and reactions, they are all out of your control. So why are you spending so much of your time stressing and worrying about what they're thinking, or what they will think, or what they're saying, or what they will say? Just worry about what you're doing. Worry about the people in your inner circle, like the people you're super, super close with. Okay? Because those are all things you can control. Those are all things you can change. And when you change the things that need to be changed, that you can change, that's when life changes. So when you work on improving and bettering and maximizing and you know, expanding the areas and the situations in your life that you're able to do that with, that's where you're going to reap the results. That's where you're going to make progress, because there's so many situations we put ourselves in on a daily basis that we could easily worry about this or that or the other. But what, you know, imagine how different would things be in your life if you spent all that time and energy, even half of that time and energy, focused on what you can do, how you can act, how you can react, how you can be proactive, how you can stop being inactive in these areas of your life to reap a far greater benefit, instead of sitting there and waiting and worrying and wishing and wanting. Because it's that simple. When you're honest and clear about where you're going to and where you're coming from, and then when you become more active in your life. There's some situations in my life that I will always be reactive. I need to wait and see how something else pans out, and then when that pans out, I can react to it. There's some situations in my life, actually most of them, where I can be proactive, where I don't have to wait on others, other people, other things, other situations, where I can go and do this. Like having the windscreen mounted camera now. I was able to go and get that, stick it on and just go. So I can film this as I drive. I don't have to wait till I'm in the gym or till I'm at home or wait for a specific time. I can do it here and now. It's the same with the podcast. I can record it here and now as we go if I wanted as well. So folks, that's the two bits I would leave you with for today, is that, you know, when you're setting your goals or when you're trying to move forward in life, how honest are you being with yourself? Because if you're not being as honest as possible, or if you were to become more honest, how different would the results look? How different would you look physically? How different would you feel mentally, emotionally? How much happier would you be if you were just more honest? You know, I know what it's like. You're ducking and dodging phone calls from people you owe money to. You know, you're feeling paralyzed because there's so much fear about, well, what if this goes wrong or what if that goes wrong? You know, and just when you're more honest, when you own up to things, it's so much easier because it allows you to not be fearful. It allows you to take action in spite of fear. And that's where winners win. That's where people succeed. When we act, react, become proactive in spite of fear. Fear, challenges, difficult times, they never go away. They never ever will. You just get stronger than your current challenges and you overcome them. And then you go on and you face new challenges and you got to get stronger and overcome them as well. And it's this constant loop. I know to the day I die, I will be faced with hurdles and challenges in all areas of my life. And I will only overcome them when I become strong enough to do so. And I only become strong enough to do so when I take action in spite of fear. Take it easy, folks. I'll talk to you soon. God bless. No, hit the right button.